Don't get me started, Steve.
Don't
Dude,
get me started.
so you know what today is, don't you? It's Alison Visconti Day.
We haven't
And,
done Alison Visconti Day in so long.
well, I think it needs to happen today because she is freshly engaged.
You are now listening to the John and Paul Show. John and Paul Show. Now listening. You are now listening to the John and Paul Show.
That was a week one. It's not going to be a week episode, though, because I'm feeling really high morale right now. Episode 22, I believe. Fa, how the fuck are you?
Wonderful 22. Feeling good. Feeling great. Rainy day out there, but not rainy inside.
Yeah, it was actually very... Well, I kept getting, like, tornado warnings on my phone last night. Like,
Yes.
everyone in the bar that I work at was their phone literally every 10 seconds it would be your phone was chirping because the emergency alert was going off like nuts.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, so I am familiar that South Jersey just got hit with some flooding and a tornado. How did things end up your way?
Well, I said today I was like, it was a corny thing to say. Well, it isn't. It is and it isn't. But like I was very thankful, but like nothing ended up happening. Like you look, there was actual destruction in Jersey, like 30 minutes away. Like could have been us just as easily. Like,
Isn't that crazy how like stuff like that happens, you know?
yeah.
It is crazy. I remember in 2019 when Hurricane Dorian, I think it was called, was coming through Florida. We like packed up all this water, got all this food, got ready for it, and nothing happened.
It's better to be prepared and nothing happens than not, though, you know?
No, it is true. But no, I'm happy to hear nothing too bad happened around your way. My mom was actually sending me updates too at like around like midnight last night. I thought it was gonna hit, but hey, everyone's safe, and now we get to O round on the pot today.
Yeah. I feel like she would go into like a nuclear shelter if she could.
Oh my God, she would have. The nuclear cellar being downstairs in the basement.
Yep.
Concrete.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Okay, never mind. Sorry.
You watching the Phillies? Like, what's going on over there?
I do. So I that was very rude of me. I do have the Phillies on. I actually might turn them off. But
no,
yeah,
don't turn them off. Don't turn them off.
No, keep them on. No, stop. But no, I do have them on. I have been into baseball recently, which actually brings me to something I want to bring up to you. So it's a little bit of old news now, and I do feel like everything's been repaired overall. But did you see a few days ago that the Mets were doing thumbs down for their fans? And,
yeah,
you know, Javi Baez comes over to the team literally, what, a month ago, not even, starts this thing, has a post press conference explaining why they started the thumbs down. 2-3 days later, he gets the game-winning run and then apologizes for everything. Like, I don't know, Tabor, I wanted your opinion. I wanted your opinion on what you would think would happen if that happened in Philly.
If someone did that in Philly, they would probably, unrightfully so, get items thrown at them. And I don't agree with that. I do not condone that behavior. I think there is a toxicity amongst fans that has like grown to a boiling point, especially in Philly. And I say that as a person who goes to every single one of the Philly games. I go to them all. I really do. I support the teams, man. There's just, I'm a booer. I'm a big booer. But like if someone were to do that in Philly, they would get booed. But like I think there needs to be a line drawn. I'm gonna go into a little bit more later, but the situation with Javi Baez was interesting because he's always had attitude issues, and to go to a city where you're constantly going to be scrutinized, that's on you. That's on you. I don't know what else to say.
It's no, and that kind of criticism isn't for everyone, clearly. I mean, we're facing that in the basketball standpoint. I don't know if that's where you're going to go with it.
Right.
Yeah,
no, that was
okay, because I was going to tie that all in because you know,
good transition, good one, go on.
Because you know the Javi Baez thing happened a few days ago, and then literally just a few days later, we got Joel Embiid, tweeting out things saying, you know, he made a comment saying that the fans need to do better. And I'm really torn on that, like in a way. Like I'm torn on it because, like you said, if people are throwing stuff at the players or something, that's out of line. But if fans are just booing because you're playing like shit, I think it's okay.
I agree. And
Like,
also he addresses that in the tweet. He says that the criticism has made him better. He says that in another
exactly.
tweet. Like, so to say it works and then also be so critical of it is contradictory. But I am a very much the belief that, like, these guys are fucking humans. And I look at it like
They are.
this. It's good to be able to explain this in person or in without it being like over text or anything. Like, as much it is nice that our fans are passionate and they do boo when shit sucks. It must fucking suck to be a player if again, they're being paid millions of dollars. Should be just be able to zone this out. It's part of,
Yeah.
I guess some people have a very strong mental dexterity where they can block this out, but like it can't be easy to go in and night out. Again, being paid millions of dollars, but like it's affecting your mental health to be booed if you're just the simplest mistake is made. Like it's not an easy city to play in. It's not by any stretch.
No, it's not at all. And I was a little shocked to hear Joel Embiid say that the fans need to do better. And I think I understand what he meant overall. Like, I think he was more so referring to that on the harsh criticisms on his teammate Ben Simmons, more so.
Yeah. And on the media being constantly running with narratives of like discomfort between him and Ben and Joel. Like it's with any media, anywhere in the world. It's just like they take the smallest fragments or what they have heard to the highest degree, and then they run with it.
Exactly. And it's just an interesting thing. Like, I feel like the fans, especially since post-COVID, have been in like a lot of like media talks, because remember when fans were first let in back into NBA games, there's like 3 games in a row where like a player got something thrown at him, like Russell Westbrook at the Sixers game, I think it was actually, and he had popcorn thrown on him, or the bag of popcorn thrown, and like that stuff, man, like that needs to. I don't know why anyone would want to do that, for one. But like, I don't know, the whole booing thing and the whole fans, I think that's the right for fans to do. And I think Joel said it, or I read it somewhere, like how else is the crowd supposed to react? Like in a way, like, you're not going to cheer if your team's getting blown out game 7, and like especially you're going to be upset.
Yeah, no, especially in the playoffs. Like they did so bad against the Hawks. It's just like, you don't individually pay their salaries. Obviously, it's like it's an organization, and they have advertisements and shit, this, that, the other. But like a lot of ticket sales directly pay the players, and like to not acknowledge the fans' voice is ignorant.
Yeah, no, I agree, and then just jumping back to like the Javi Baez thing, like for him. Like, I do believe that the players should be able to, maybe speak their mind or speak their case, or, say maybe what happened on the line. But for them to just, throw their thumbs down for people who paid money to watch their team play a game, like that's a little disrespectful, I feel like. Like, it's one thing, post press conference to be like, we got booed out there, it didn't help, but we were getting our asses kicked. Like, I don't know, like talked about it in some way. But to just like, now your team's winning 9-4, and you're like, I don't know, kind of that's like the same thing as giving a middle finger, but in sports, like in a way.
They should be allowed to give the middle finger.
They should be. I think it'd make it more interesting. You know what? That actually reminds me. When I was younger, still even to a little bit now, I would hate, like in baseball, like when the opposing team, like let's say a guy gets a single and he's on first with the first baseman. I hate when like they talk and they act friendly.
I like that.
You guys should hate. I mean, I like it more now, but back in the day, I was like, you guys should hate each other. Like, there's no friendships here. This is professional sports.
When you were a kid, did you feel like you had a rivalry with anyone?
Are you saying this because I've made this remark before, or is this a
No, this is a genuine question.
Okay. I'm trying to think if there was anyone like specific or something.
Well, you
I
just fired back like you had someone right in mind.
well, I thought you were saying it because like maybe I made a comment one day like he's my
I
rival. I could see me
yeah,
saying something dumb, but
yeah.
I don't know if I had like a specific rival or anything. I mean, some guy I guess I would, maybe go up. Well, not even. I was gonna say like a Joe Hughes or something, but like we were still
He was never
buddies.
a rival. Yeah, no,
He was,
I
well,
always
he used to
considered you guys
be.
buddies. He used to be
He
a
used to
dick.
be. He used
He
to be a
pushed me up
bully,
against
man.
the fence one time.
Yeah, he was a dickhead. You know what though? But that just goes to show because Joe Hughes now is like he's a really good guy actually. He like really grew up and like became a respectable and MOR, if you will.
Man of respect. Yeah, no, it is important to acknowledge that people grow, and everyone isn't the person that they were when they were 12.
This is true. It is interesting how that happens. But do you have a rival?
I think it might be Joe Hughes.
No, oh, was that the person you were thinking of?
No. I didn't have anyone in mind. I did not have anyone in mind, to be honest.
Oh my God, that was so funny. No, I don't know, but I do know what you mean about like having like a rival and all. I was thinking of like people, I feel like if I did have any rivals of someone, I'm a big person of like, Joe Hughes is a great example. Like that was a kid who like kind of bullied me like low key on the bus and was a dick, but I was able to kind of like flip it around until he was like my best friend for a long time, for years, growing up, and where was I getting at with all this? Oh yeah, because like if I have a rival, I usually just try to make him my friend in the end because I don't know, I don't like having shit with people. Like if you're gonna be mean to be mean to me, that's one thing, but like I don't know. I always like to turn it on its head and become the bully's friend if I can. That's
I
always my
can't
motto.
even imagine a person being mean to you.
You know it's funny actually. You know who didn't like me for some reason, and I actually was just talking about this to Allie.
Who?
Do you remember Rolly?
Yes, of course.
That kid did not like me for some reason. He'd make because we had missed El Quadro back in seventh grade,
Yeah.
man. He would just make comments to me all the time. Like he just did not like me, and it's crazy because I just saw a picture of him on Facebook. He has a kid, has another one on the way, a beautiful wife, taking pictures out in the sand like a full, like adult. Like this kid his name was Rolly because he used to ride his scooter and skateboard everywhere. Now he has like a family. Again, no hard feelings on the guy. I mean, shout him out. I mean, if he listens to the pod, that's great. But
Give me a percentage chance he listens to this podcast.
I'd say 5.
All right.
I'd say
Let's shift gears to
12%.
like something non-related to our high school. You got anything?
Okay. Well, I actually do have a couple things written down that I did want to bring up. I did want to talk about something that me and Alpha were talking about the other day regarding like movies and how like there's like no good way to put this, I guess, but how movies now, like every movie is the standard, like the white guy or something. Like there's a billion movies of that, but then the movies that aren't about like the standard like white guy doing something, then it's called like a women's like empowerment movie or that movie with like a black cast or like something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And isn't it crazy that we're in 2021 and like that's still going on? So the whole reason why this came up is because we watched Birds of Prey with Margot Robbie, and the whole movie is supposed to be like a women empowerment type of movie, not like in a way of like they're the cast, like they're like running the show kind of thing. And after the movie, Allie was like, I was a little disappointed. I felt like they didn't really show women in like a good light in this movie, like in the grand scheme of things. Like they kind of got their ass kicked. I mean, they ended up winning, but just a lot of things, that kind of led up to it. They kind of got their asses whooped for a hot second. And I don't know, it was just interesting because like, it's crazy that movies like that even need to be made.
Yeah.
Like movies that show like, women being in power and stuff like that shouldn't be a thing. Like, I'm happy it is because we're
No,
not there yet for some reason.
I'm
But
grasping exactly what you're saying.
and this
It shouldn't be the point where we have to make a distinguishment or put labels on things, because everyone should just be an equal, because that's exactly what we are. We're all the same thing. None of
Yep.
us got to choose where we got to be born,
Yep.
or who we got born with,
No, exactly.
or who we are. Like,
Well, and like, Jordan Peele, he started making horror movies, and he made Get Out and Us, and I love both those movies personally. And he made a comment on like an interview, and the person asked like, "Will you ever cast a white main actor?" And his response was, "I've already seen that movie." And I thought that was
yeah,
like an interesting take. It's like, and not naming any names, but I do know people who, if you bring up Get Out or if you bring up one of his movies, there's some people I've talked to who the first thing they say is like, "Oh, that's what that black act or that black director, right?" Like that's not the point. Like, the
right.
point is that it's a good movie and I just saw it and I liked it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
man.
Like,
Yeah,
it's crazy that we're like still there in 2021.
I know.
like
You,
like
yeah, that
like
was facts. Preach, big
like
preach.
wasn't all of this supposed to be fixed like back in like the 60s? And I mean before that? Like, come on, bro. Like, I don't
It's
know.
only gotten worse in ways. Like, it's terrible. Like,
I know. It's just an interesting thing. But anyway, me and Allie got into a nice long discussion about that the other day, and I figured that'd be something you would relate to and understand as well.
yeah, absolutely. What are you
I do
drinking?
want. I was just gonna say, I do want the record to show. I did have a pumpkin spice cream cold brew from Starbucks this morning. They've been my favorite. I highly recommend it. They do like the cold foam on top with this some kind of like pumpkin sugar or something on the top of it as well. Super delicious, super creamy. Highly recommend. But that's not what I'm drinking currently. I am drinking a home brew with some Bailey's Irish cream in it. Uh, because you know what? It's our day off and we're recording the pod. It's time to celebrate.
It is. I got an unexpected day off. I got a text today. There was bad floods, obviously, as we talked about at the beginning of this. There uh in Philly. It got hit a little bit. It was like, again, it was like weird patches. Pardon me. New York City especially got hit really bad.
Mhm.
Infrastructure and travel is really stuck today. It's not good. But got a text. The first text I got when I woke up at 11 today, like a little bum. But
I woke up at
I got
11:30.
yeah, I got a text at 10:30 that said, "Are you okay? Did you make it home safe?" From my manager. Always a good text. That's feels good. Feels
Yeah,
good to be valued, right?
that's important.
It is.
That is very important.
Yeah. So I said yes, of course, and then like literally before I even realized it, like 10 minutes later, in our group message with like all the employees, it was like, "Don't come in today. A few reservations already canceled, and the city's already in like shambles. The Vine Street Expressway literally looks like Venice in Italy. It's fucking insane.
Like, there's some actual flooding, like some real bad flooding. Some of those places.
No joke. The Vine Street Expressway is flooded. You could canoe on it, boat on it.
That's so scary, man. It's crazy how like powerful water is, Like,
It
just
is.
destroys things.
And
But no,
this is climate change in front of us. This is what happens when, for the last 100+ years, as a society, you just spew toxins into the air. You
yeah,
know?
it's true, man. It's not good. Um, Back to what you were saying about like your work and feeling valued, man. Another conversation that got brought up this week is I really think we're on the verge of change of how employees overall get valued and treated in a workplace. I think that's a great thing. Like, finally. But like, I feel like this pandemic opened up a lot of people's eyes as the fact like, look, like, I want to work, but I want to be treated right at the same time. Like, there's no reason why I need to go to my workplace and feel undervalued and feel like shit, and just to come home and be like, I'll do it again tomorrow. Like no,
Yeah.
that's not a good way of life, man. Like, Fish is calling me. Maybe he'll make an appearance on the pod.
Do you want to clap and you answer it?
I can if you want. Dude, what are you doing right now?
Driving home.
How close are you?
No.
Not close.
Dude, me and Tabor are recording the pod. I was going to tell you to hop on for the second half.
No, damn.
How long until you're home? Like over 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Well, it's usually like 20 to 25, but it's like the middle of rush hour traffic.
Dude, well, would you be down for a shot when you get home in honor of Alison Visconti and her new engagement?
Yeah.
I have Tabor on. He can hear you, but you can't hear him. And he just said,
Yep.
Good. Yeah, I just made me a few minutes because I'm currently Jen's birthday present is at her house.
oh.
And
It's Jen's birthday?
a person
Happy
doing
birthday.
a service
Come on.
right now. So I'm gonna have to go talk to the guy, and then I bustle upstairs.
You better not be genuine with this guy.
Oh, hello, sir. How you doing?
No. Oh my god. All right, Funlum, well just let me know. We'll all take a shot for Alison Visconti whenever you're ready.
Thank
no
God.
rush.
How am I hopping on this?
What?
How am I like hopping on the shot train? Like, what am I doing? Going on Discord or calling you back or?
Well, we'll just probably FaceTime by that point whenever you're ready, right? Yeah. Just send me a text.
All right.
I'll see you.
See you.
There you go.
Be on your toes because that's all staying in. That was a good conversation, man.
Be on your toes. So there you go. There was a little sponsor by Liam Fisher. Also, in John Fa news, I did just want to say the John Fa TikTok is up. If you look up John Fa Pod, should come right up. There's only 2 videos. We have one from our most recent podcast, and we have a little throwback Thursday that was just posted today.
Dude, for real, I really love the layout. It looks really clean. It looks very visually appealing to see, especially with the one with all 3 of us, including Liam. Coincidentally, he just called. It just looks very nice. It really does.
Yeah.
Please follow us at John Fa Pod on TikTok.
Yes.
At Ja Fa Pod. I think we gotta really start making these the same thing.
All the same. Well, I named the TikTok directly after us on Spotify. I figured that was the best
Smart
way to go from.
Smart.
So definitely take a look. Speaking of Spotify and stuff, I know we did promise a little new album Kanye West review on the pod. I wouldn't mind jumping in on that because I feel like I have a lot to say. However, I do think it's only fair that Tabor goes first because I know he was itching to talk about it last pod as well.
Again, like you, my first sentence to anyone telling my opinion on the album is that I am an admitted Kanye dick rider.
It's okay.
Completely.
That's okay.
But I thoroughly enjoyed the album. It's now Sunday. It came out, so 4 days later total. A lot of listening time. I've definitely listened to it at least once a day, like full
The whole
through,
thing.
100%. It's definitely up there for my favorite Kanye albums. Again, like you look at the album and it does seem long, and I think a lot of people will tell you that there's a lot of stuff like quote unquote fat to trim. There's a lot to take off of the album. I don't know, like there are to me only 2 songs that I genuinely like am just like meh. I don't really want to listen to it, or the production value just isn't there, which is the Donda chant, which is the first song. That's just like, again, like that's like with almost any introduction to any album, you're almost always like, okay, this is like a minute song, get this the fuck over with.
Right.
But then the other one was the Pop Smoke one, which is Tell the Vision. Yeah, there were a few moments on the album that like the production was like just a little spotty, but that one especially, like you could hear the beat that the song was originally on the song that Kanye put out. It was interesting, but overall, I give it a strong 8, a very strong 8. With age, it might change to maybe even higher. I'm gonna go with a strong 8 though.
I like it. You actually hit a couple points I did want to hit. especially with some of the production value. So I have some good things I want to say, and some not necessarily bad things, but things that I would question and ask. Now, keep in mind too, neither of us are music critics by any sort of the
and
imagination.
we are always like, this artist should do this.
Yeah.
Like, right?
But for the record, I feel like I have a very, mainstream rap pop like take on a lot of things. I'm someone who loved Kanye's old stuff. I mean, obviously you heard him your whole life. I mean, it was kind of tough not to, especially back in the day, like the 2000s, like tens and all. He was like popping, but yeah. So it was interesting to go into this album and listen to it. I think the album is obviously the strongest if you listen to it from track one to the end of the track, or to the end of the album. I think that's the absolute strongest. Being two exceptions to that, one, Off the Grid on that album is by far my favorite song. And I think that's a top 5 hip hop track of this year, like without a doubt. That is one of the best songs in and out. All the features are great. And I was just talking to Tabor right before we did the pod. I actually made a little UK drill trap beat. And it's interesting how that beat doesn't start as a UK drill and then it actually flips. I don't know if you heard that. Like right after Cardi's part, I think it switches. And that song is so good, but it's so frustrating at the same time for me in a way, because like you said about the production, some of it's so good, like that production's really good. Heaven and Hell, that production's amazing. Just to name a few or a couple. And then there's some where it just seems like it's not finished. Like it just seems like it's missing something. And my biggest point that I'm going to go to is Jail. I hate to say it, man. I hate to say it. I was a little disappointed, but let me explain a little bit further why I was a little disappointed. That song had a chance, in my opinion, to be like an anthem. Like that had the chance to be like the Hey Jude of this year. Like, wow. I think. But it just missed the mark for some reason. And I don't understand why. Like, I mean, I do understand why, but I don't understand why Kanye didn't do this. So, the album starts off with Jail right after, or two. It's like one of the first songs.
Jail is the first song.
First real song, exactly. Or after Donda, right. And you hear that guitar, you're like hyped. The hook is great. You hear Jay-Z, he spills a monster verse. All of this is leading up. And then the song ends. And I was like, damn, all right. It was cool though. Like I liked it. Then you come up towards the end of the album and you hear Jail Part 2. And I'm like, as soon as it started playing again, I was like, oh my God, Kanye is a genius. He played the first half of the song in the beginning and he's going to finish it up with this huge banger at the end. The exact same thing, except with the baby. And then Kanye goes to end both tracks with just the drum track. That sounds like it was supposed to be in the final 16 bars of the song. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like that little drum thing at the end?
Let me just jump in and say that all the part 2 songs were, this is what I've heard, that, okay, so the rumor on the block is that Kanye was not exactly ready to release the album specifically, and Universal did it anyway. That's what he said on Instagram. He said this. All the part 2 songs allegedly were that they didn't know what version that he was going to put on, and they just put it out. So like the album ends with, before Jail Part 2, the album's done.
Wow. Well, and maybe that helps a little bit, but still, why didn't, and like I've seen TikToks on it too, of people who put that drum track at the end into like the final actual part, like when he's doing the chorus and the guitar and all of that.
Yeah.
And it sounds beautiful. Like it sounds awesome. Like it sounds like a great end to like an amazing song. But he just doesn't do it for some reason. And again, maybe that is part of Universal. Maybe they didn't know exactly what he wanted, so they just threw this drum track at the end. I don't know if I would think they would do something like that, but I don't know. I'm not in the music industry like that. But it's just so interesting, man. And the only other thing I'm going to bring up about that song specifically is I just think like this was another thought I had, and this is something really cool about Kanye is his fan base is so loyal to him that Kanye is in the part of his career that he could release pretty much anything and they're gonna love it. His fan base kind of reminds me a lot of like Tyler the Creator, where his fan base lets him kind of experiment and do what he wants. And 9 times out of 10, they're gonna love it. I feel like Kanye West is obviously on that same kind of tier, and I mean higher than Tyler, but same kind of idea, same thing. And I just think like let's say that jail beat didn't have Kanye West on it, and let's say it was produced by Metro Boomin, like you heard the Metro Boomin tag, and you just heard that guitar for 5 minutes, and it was like Young Thug on it. Like people would hate that song. Like they'd be like, "What the hell is this?" But just because it's Kanye and Jay-Z and DaBaby, I guess at the end, I feel like people are like, "Dude, this was great." And don't get me wrong, the lyrics were there, the overall chorus, like loved all of it, like all of that. It's just interesting. Going back to now Off the Grid, it's frustrating to hear how amazing that song is, to hear that Kanye can do a hip hop track. Kanye can do a 4-minute amazing hip hop track, yet he only does it like 1 or 2 times in the entire album. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
no, I do.
And it's just
I personally think on the other foot, I like the rawness of tracks like Jail and I don't want to say this in a diminishing way, but like the unfinishedness of it makes songs like Off the Grid shine even more. And which is again goes back to the point you said earlier, which is that as a full album, it adds a lot of value to it. That again, there are to me like 4 or 5 hits off this album. Off the Grid, Hurricane, Believe What You Say, and I like Pure Souls. I think that's a hit, but I don't. It's not like it's not like club hit. Moon is like a very tender song, which I like, and like again, like that's the thing that I do. Again, the full structure of the album.
Yeah.
It has so many different moods and moments, and again, something to be said. The Life of Pablo was released and then updated because Kanye, like it was not finished, or the production literally did not sound right. Even worse in this album, that they're just like there's updates for video games. No joke, there might be an update for this album.
Yeah, I would agree. And I wouldn't be surprised because some of the tracks just sound a little unfinished, and like Kanye's a genius. Like I mean, and look, and maybe he'll have an interview and be like, well, this is how it was supposed to be because of this or this and this, and that's fine. But like, just from listening to it, I've listened to it twice now. Again, exactly what you're saying. If you listen to it first track to the end, beautiful, love it. But if you go in and find a few tracks that you like would just like download on your Spotify and listen to, I think it's tough. I think like Off the Grid and Heaven and Hell are the ones that I downloaded right away. I was like, these are bops. Like these are so good. Like the production, the engineering. I mean, all that just sounds so crisp and clear. But again, so that's why like the things that I like don't like about the album aren't even like hate. It's more like frustration because it's just like we hear what you're doing. Like we know you can do it. We know you can make these amazing songs, but then he just ends the song, or it just doesn't go anywhere. It just kind of stays the same. And it's like, it's tough. But I mean, overall, I did enjoy the album. I mean, first to end, it's a ride. It's a beautiful ride. A lot of different things. Every song sounds different than the one before. I do think Kanye is really good at putting together a full album, which is nice that we're talking about this because we always talk about putting together a short album, or on the pod we have recently, like Vince Staples.
Yeah, now we have.
And it's nice to hear a long album, put together right. And I definitely don't have the same criticism for this one as I did with the J. Cole one that all sounded the same. This one all sounds different, but it does sound collected. So my final score for it, I've been seeing a lot of 9.5s and 10s for this album. I don't think it's there for me yet. I would probably give it a strong 7.5, 8. Like
yeah,
maybe right now 7.5, but maybe if I listen to it a couple more times, it might change. But right now it's at 7.5 for me.
I feel like this is a potential Yeezus situation where in a year or two we look at this and we're like, holy shit, low key, like there's like 2 or 3 bad songs and that's it.
Yeah. Right. It might just need to age a little bit. And what was that with the album cover? I know a lot of people were upset with that.
I said the same thing to Devin today. I was like, again, like it was the same thing with Ye. He changed the album cover. Like that he might. I also, again, I am a big dick rider, but like I also like this if this is quote unquote the Kanye Black album, because it feels just very, where Yeezus was very raw and very a bit more concise, but this album is much more concise in emotion in terms of he is able to express himself better, I feel like. But the album has a lot more to it.
Yeah. No, I agree with that, honestly. No, and hey, you know, it's going to be interesting. It's a great time for music, actually, because Kanye just dropped. Drake's going to be dropping his album soon, which I'm not the biggest Drake guy, but I'm 100% going to listen to it. Like, it's always hype when he drops something. I mean, if you
Absolutely.
try to say you're not excited or not going to listen to it, you're probably lying. If you're a hip hop fan, anyway. And Kendrick, I mean, I don't know if he's dropped an album this year, but at least he dropped a song, so he's back in the game, which is amazing. So it'll be a good time. I still think that song's definitely in the top 5 hip hop tracks for this year too, for sure.
I love that song.
So good. That and Off the Grid. I've had a case of Off the Grid, though. I will not lie. I've listened to it every day, like early. I literally this morning.
Get going.
Oh, last thing I want to say about that song, because clearly it's my favorite. Best line. I don't know if it's the best line in the album. Best line in that song is when Kanye says, "They're playing soccer in my backyard. I think I see Messi."
So good.
And then the beat drops right back in. That might be one of the coldest lines.
It's so good.
Ever.
And
So
hold on,
good.
actually, my last statement is I need an explicit version. Listening Party 3 was explicit. Listening Party 3 was explicit. This version is not for some reason.
Why? I know. Thank you. I meant to say that as well. I was so, at first I thought like I downloaded the wrong one or something. Like, you know, like how they have both. I was like, oh, let me just go back. And I was like, oh, there's not one.
I can't remember it off the top of my head, but there is one song which is chorus. The chorus for that song is ruined because the swear words are not in it.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I wonder if that will ever be changed. Like swear words and stuff like that. Like where just every version's explicit, like no clean.
It should
like,
be. Who cares? The kids are exposed to everything nowadays anyway.
They're listening to it. Exactly. I agree. But no, I'm happy we got to have a little album review. I was actually really excited to talk to you about that because I know you were ready. But no, and again, I loved it. It was just some at times it was just a little frustrating because could have been even more than it was in ways. But no, very good. I hope Kanye's doing well. Do I know him personally?
Yep.
Keeping on the music train, I do have a.
What, dude?
Wait. What, dude?
What did you say? Thank God. You read my mind because literally the next thing I was going to say is, you got a what, dude?
I do. And I do. And it's not directly music related, but it is about a music artist. My what, dude, today, I found this morning, is good old David Bowie. You're a David Bowie guy, aren't you? You used to be?
Yeah, and actually, one of my favorite David Bowie songs is a song that I share in love with a certain Jonathan Macaluso.
Really? Dude,
Let's Dance by David Bowie.
That's a goodie.
If it's on and we're together, we'll be dancing and destroying everything in our sight.
John Macaluso loved his name being dropped, full name drop on the pod. So
that's why I dropped it, Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But anyway, I don't know. Did you know this about David Bowie? David Bowie launched his own internet provider in 1998 called BowieNet.
Good for him. Isn't it crazy that like obscure little shit like that is like, unless someone remembers it, it's lost to the internet.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like, again, talk about another dude who could just do whatever they wanted, and people were like, yeah, You
works.
know, like how, like, you know, you made it in life when you can just get away with whatever you want, like in this way, like just do fun stuff like that, and everyone's like, yeah, that sounds fun. Obviously, I don't think Bowie Net blew up or anything, but he tried.
He
Definitely
tried.
tried.
Now, is it bad to just have a bunch of yes men around you? It probably is.
Wait, what do you mean? Like for these artists?
Yeah, like just having people who say yes around you all the time instead of giving you a valid opinion.
I do agree. I think in the terms of like Kanye, David Bowie, Tyler the Creator, I feel like those guys, I think they have gained that trust and respect because they have gone through the grind of like, you know, probably a lot of people saying no before they got to yes. But yes, if that was just to the regular artist or someone who's just became popular off of one song, then yes, that's a very bad thing. You know, it's tough to critique other people's work though sometimes. You know, you don't want to upset them. You know they put work in, but you know, I've been in both those situations. I've been in both where people have told me it sucked, and I've been the one who's been like, I don't know if this is it, man. It's a tough situation, but you gotta do it. It makes everyone stronger. Don't hold your feelings back.
True.
And that's what I'm gonna end my side on.
I was gonna say that should be the good moral lesson we end on. Do you have it? I'm done. Do you have anything else?
Done. Get me out of here.
That I was able to even get this much through without sounding like an idiot.
Really?
I'm ready for a nap.
Really? Uh-oh. Well, hey, shout out to the person that's going to be shout out in the cold opening. You know, it is Thursday, and Tabor, it was a joy to do this with you as always. Thank you for showing up. Is that what you, no, wait, what do you always say to me? Thank you for joining, or thank you for coming.
That's what I say.
That's what it is. Thank you for joining, and then you go, well, you didn't. Anyway.
Literally every week.
Love it. Love that part. But yeah, take us away, Tabor.
I'm gonna leave it at that. That's it. We're out.
Then
See you, man.
I'll see you. Go night.